So how many guys remember the Epic Mickey series? I'm assuming that about a third of you guys watching this video probably do. There are some platformers from the early 2010s that people seem to agree that the first game was pretty decent but had missed potential, and the second game kinda sucked. I don't know if I can really call these games like forgotten because there are a decent amount of people who still remember them. Matter of fact, you guys know my friend Mikey, right? I got you! Yeah, he used footage from the first Epic Mickey in my intro for 2022. Epic Mickey as a concept is one of the craziest pieces of world building I've ever seen for a video game. Especially for like Mickey Mouse, who's only known for games on the SNES and PS that are pretty basic and simple but pretty decent side-scrollers from the 90s. And if you look at the concept art and compare it to the final game, it's kinda obvious that it's something a lot bigger in development. So the Epic Mickey concept was conceived in 2003 and was pitched to Bob Iger. But since they didn't own the rights to Oswald the Lucky Rabbit, they couldn't make the game until 2006 when he became CEO, and he made a deal with a sportscaster that NBC could get the rights to Oswald and other minor assets. In 2007, Disney Interactive acquired the rights to Junction Point Studios to develop the game, with 130 people working on the game and another 150 people contributing. The game was originally meant to be for PS3 and 360, but after some complications in development, the idea was dropped and was made into a Wii exclusive. The main concept of the Epic Mickey series was pretty much about how all the forgotten Disney characters from old cartoons are living in a town where they can live their lives where nobody kind of remembers them. It's a little bit like Kingdom Hearts in a way, where you travel through a bunch of worlds from Disney movies and shorts. As a matter of fact, there's a world in Kingdom Hearts 2 where you play a level that's based off the old Disney cartoons from the 1940s. Honestly, with the whole retro cartoon giving a modern look concept, one could say that this game was a little bit ahead of its time because if this game came out around the same time as Cuphead, then it'll probably be just as popular as Cuphead. Anyway, Epic Mickey was released on November 25th, 2010 on the Nintendo Wii, and the reception was decisive to say the least. Critics and casual players liked the concept of the game but didn't like the controls and had issues with the camera, but it is still all enough to warrant them greenlighting a sequel, Epic Mickey 2: The Power of 2, which is about the Mad Doctor returning and Mickey and Oswald teaming up to stop him. The sequel was released about 2 years after the original game was released, and was met with pretty meddling responses. Some people didn't like it, some people thought it was decent but not as good as the first game. This game did do financially worse than the worst games, despite being multi-platform this time around. They pictured this game selling 2 million units, but instead... So because of the poor sales, Junction Point Studios closed down in early 2013, and the planned third game in the trilogy was never developed. There was also a Donald spin-off called Epic Donald, but it got cancelled too, and the Epic Mickey franchise was left to die. Fast forward to February last year, a remake of the first Epic Mickey game was announced, and people who grew up with this game were pretty hyped. To be honest, I kind of felt like Epic Mickey was a little bit of a weird choice to remake, but I wasn't against it either because, hey, if K.O. the Kangaroo got a remake, why not Epic Mickey? I'm not gonna lie, I completely forgot about this game until like 3 weeks before the game came out. I was like, oh yeah, this game's coming out. And I was like, I've always wanted to try this game out, so now I can finally get this off my bucket list, so let's dive into this game. The story starts off with Mickey waking up and finding out that the mirror in his room leads to Jens's dimension. He created a world for forgotten Disney characters. Mickey sees him doing all this and wants to try it himself, but accidentally messes everything up, and he runs away back to his room before Jens can find out about him. After Mickey becomes popular, something comes out of the mirror and abducts Mickey and drags him into the world that Jens had created, the Wasteland. He wakes up in the Mad Doctor's laboratory and he tries to do experiments on him, which I think is a callback to the Mickey and the Mad Doctor short. But Mickey manages to stop the machine and escape with the help of Gus. They spot Oswald the Lucky Rabbit and want to talk to him, but he keeps getting away. Eventually, Mickey and Gus may land in Mean Town, which is a town inside the Wasteland, which Oswald is from. But all the paint and life from it is completely gone because of the thinner that was spilled all over it. Mickey and Oswald finally meet up with each other, and it's real that Oswald has a little bit of resentment towards Mickey stealing the spotlight from him because he was the original Mickey Mouse before the actual Mickey Mouse came along. But since Mickey actually has a heart and you can only leave this world if you have one, Oswald reluctantly decides to team up with him to bring back the life in his town, being completely unaware that it was Mickey who caused the thinner disaster. They decided that the rocket ship is what they need to stay out of the shadow block, but the parts of the rocket ship were stolen by the Mad Doctor for his plot. So now Mickey and Gus set out looking for him, and after all that, they confront the Mad Doctor and find the last piece of the rocket ship, and Mickey and Gus go to find Oswald. Oswald told us that we've been fighting Germans of the real plot that's located on top of the Mickey Junkyard Mountain, and his girlfriend on Tennessee has sealed it away a long time ago, but it caused her to become incapacitated as a result. Oswald decides that maybe he's been too harsh towards Mickey and decides to make things up, but suddenly overcome with guilt. Mickey confesses that he was the reason why the shadow block exists in the first place, which makes Oswald rightfully angry, and he tells Mickey to run his fate, but for some reason he thought it'd be a good idea to start tap dancing all over the corkscrew that was sealing away the blood, and it causes the corkscrew to break. The block comes out bigger, stronger, and absorbs both Gus and Oswald. Mickey gives up his heart so he can save them, but at the cost that he can't leave the wasteland anymore. So the hero goes to Tomorrow City to use the rocket there to reach the Shadow Block, but somehow it figured out what our plan was and absorbs Oswald and Gus again. Mickey enters the Shadow Block body to save them. Once he does that, Mickey gets his heart back, and he and Oswald defeat the block by firing fireworks at it, taking out the Shadow Block for good. The Wasteland starts regenerating life again. Hortensia is reunited with Oswald, and Jensen brings Mickey back to his world to make sure he can't get back in again. This is also where the good and bad endings come in, but I'll get into that later. But Mickey finds out that he still has some of the Shadow Block's essence inside of him, implying that he'd still go back into the Wasteland. So yeah, it's a pretty basic story. Mickey's good, the Shadow Block's bad, Mickey has to beat the Shadow Block. It's kind of obvious that the focus is more towards the world building and not the overarching story itself, seeing that it goes on a big backseat after meeting Oswald. I'm gonna say this right now, the world you play in is honestly the best part of the Epic Mickey series. Like, the whole idea of a world where the forgotten Disney characters just live here is pretty cool, and you honestly start feeling bad for them because nobody actually remembers them. Not only that, but this game is just filled to the brim with callbacks to old Disney cartoons and history, like how one of the early levels are theme park rides from Disneyland, or how Mickey Junkyard Mountains is just a bunch of Disney merchandise and some of the old NES and SNES games. Even the cutscenes are animated like a storyboard animatics. It's kind of funny because in the original game, since they were working with a small budget, there wasn't any voice acting for any of the characters besides Yen Sid, and it kind of just made grinding sounds. It's kind of like the Banjo-Kazooie thing, but not really at the same time. This game's cutscenes are really good too. There are only 2 CGI cutscenes, but to give credit where credit's due, they could have easily just reused the cutscenes from the original game and just use AI upscale, but they actually went out of the way to remake the cutscenes to make it fit the art style of the remake, and it looks really good. The lighting effects are nicely done and the environments are really fluid too. I'm playing this game on PS4, and I did run into a couple of frame drops and some stuttering here and there, but it didn't really ruin my experience overall. Nice to see that 8th generation hardware isn't completely obsolete. As for the game itself, just like the story, it's a pretty basic platformer, but just because I describe it like that doesn't mean it's bad. I mean, given that this game was a Wii exclusive and the Wii was known for having a lot of shovelware on the console, you could do a lot worse. Matter of fact, I actually really like this game, and yeah, there are some things that I want to talk about, but as a whole, this is a good game and even better platformer if you're into that type of genre. So you play as Mickey and run around collecting and beat the Shadow Block. This game sort of plays like Jak and Daxter. There's a lot of platforming challenges and puzzles that you can run around and do. There's also this morality system, but it doesn't really play a role into the story until the ending, so I'll talk about that later. Mickey can get double jump, do a slide move, ground pound, and do a spin move, which is where I got the Jak and Daxter comparison from. The big mechanic about this game is Mickey's paintbrush. He can use paint to create or use a thinner to destroy. You can also use a paint or a thinner to kill enemies too. Something that's very unique to this game is that you can't kill mini blocks by just attacking them. It just knocks them back, but you can knock them off the edge of the cliff too. You can use the thinner to either kill them or use the paint to turn them into your ally or kill other enemies. I like this concept, but I kind of wish I had the option to kill them by using the spin attack because you gain the paint and thinner brush by using the right analog stick, and it can be a little bit finicky at times. This game does add a lot of puzzles, but they're not too hard to figure out. For most of them, you can just spray thinner on every surface that you see, and most of the time you'll figure out the puzzle. Okay, to be fair, I do like how this game's levels are designed because there's always something off the beaten pathway for you to collect, like e-tickets and other stuff. You can also go through these film strips which are inspired by old Disney films, and these are honestly my favorite parts of the game. There's side-scrollers like the SNES Disney games, and they're really fun because, just like the main levels, the sense of curiosity is just as much rewarded as it is in the main platform levels, but I kind of wish that these weren't the ways to get to a next level because there'll be times where you have to backtrack from one level to another and have to go through levels again unless you just speedrun through them. It's gonna get pretty repetitive. To be fair, there is a way to fast travel by paying Gus 10 e-tickets, and e-tickets are pretty easy to find. And there isn't a point in the game where you won't have enough, but at the same time, it shouldn't be an in-game paywall to fast travel from one level to another in the first place. That's not the only problem I have with this game though. Because of the combat mechanics being reliant on the paint and thinner mechanics, the boss fights can feel a little bit samey because they just kind of feel like waiting for an attack and just spray them with thinner or paint. It doesn't really feel engaging, to be completely honest. A good amount of things just kind of feels like fetch quests. Out of the 9 to 10 hours that you'll be playing this game, 2 to 3 of those hours will be spent doing side quests for the NPCs, and it's especially annoying when one side quest starts up another side quest. To be fair, you can't just not do a lot of the side quests, but one thing you have to do are just having me wishing that I can just get this over with so I can just get onto the stuff that I actually want to play instead of just helping out these people with their problems. For some weird reason, Donald, Daisy, and Goofy's animatronic heads can be found in some levels and ask you to find their body parts. Only question is, where's Minnie? You mean to tell me that they thought about bringing Daisy into this game but not Minnie? Anyway, this game's side quests are tied to this game's morality system, but it doesn't really affect the plot until the very end when it shows you all the bosses that you beat with paint or thinner, or all the friends that you either saved or decide to leave in the dust. I got the bad ending because I didn't feel like doing all the side quests in this game. I just wanted to play the game. That, and I didn't know this game had a morality system, and it gave me no impressions that it would. I guess the idea of having an evil Mickey or Mickey just being an asshole can encourage a second playthrough, but I don't know, man. I think that this game would have been fine if it didn't have this morality system in the first place. Weirdly enough, it's actually a better morality system than Shadow the Hedgehog. At least your choices actually matter in the grand scheme of things. Also to make you play the first level like 10 times to get a true ending. So the more I look at it, it seems like my negatives do kind of outweigh my positives just a little bit. And I could be really petty and call this game shit just because of that, but I actually enjoyed this game on the core gameplay alone. I didn't really care for the morality system or the side quests or anything, but for a 3D platter among other 3D platforms that I played, this game is actually pretty good, and it's probably the most definitive version of this game since it fixed all the control and camera issues that people had with the original release. But in a world where Crash Bandicoot and Insane Trilogy and Spyro Reunited Trilogy exists, I probably wouldn't come back to this game that much, but a casual playthrough probably wouldn't hurt every once in a while. Maybe this game could spark some interest in reviving the Epic Mickey series, and we could see that second game get an upgrade like this game. Or maybe we could get that third game that we never got. Or maybe that Epic Donald spin-off. But I don't know, let me know what you guys think. Would you guys like to see the Epic Mickey series revived? So let me know in the comments. And that's going to be it for this video. The next video is actually going to be a little bit different. Like, it's still going to be about like video games, but it's not really a review or anything. So, and plus I'm going to have someone tag along with me. And anyone who's been on this channel for like a really long time, some of you will probably feel right at home. But all out of the way, thank you guys for watching. And I'll see you all next time. Peace.